Extremely, extremely funny how I'm about to make this Anthony Edwards video and they just got their butts bent over and tapped by the Cleveland Cavaliers. But nonetheless, we have another reaction. All right, man, let's get this shit started. By the way, it looks mad pixelated right now. Don't even worry about that. That's going to change, and that's going to change in T minus 0.5 seconds.
Anthony Edwards just went nuclear. 49 points against the Bulls, then 41 against one of the NBA's best defenses in Houston. But here's the thing. It's not just Ant carrying the Timberwolves. Minnesota made a key adjustment that's quietly pushed them back toward the top of the Western Conference. And later, I'll talk about just how
the adjustment is not having Julius Randle on the floor. It's been the adjustment. Hold on. Let's take a look. All right, chat. All right, take a look. We just gonna take a look together. Outside of, well, not outside, but in the month of February, the Minnesota Timberwolves are still 3-3. Don't get me wrong, but they are just outside the top 10 in defensive rating. Offensive rating. Look at that. Now, I'm not saying I'm not gonna be the guy that just comes here and says Julius Randle is a bad player. But he's just not the easiest guy to build around. He's just not. And this was an ugly fit, even though I tried to make my case for it actually working. And we're not going to talk about that. While the Los Angeles Lakers have been the third best offense in the league over the month of February, and we've been the third best defense in the league. But once again, that's an agenda to push for another day. Back to the main topic.
Dangerous this team can be come playoff time. Minnesota getting the aggressive version of Anthony Edwards is when they're going to be at their best, and in the last 2 games, the Ant-Man was unconscious. This season compared to last, his three-point shooting has dramatically improved. As here, the Wolves run a similar action to what Golden State would run for Steph Curry, and Edwards pops open, knocking down the triple. Here's another play that illustrates just how confident Ant is in his deep shooting. As off the screen of Gobert, instead of attacking Vucevic downhill, he instead stops on a dime and knocks down
okay. So let me look at this. Let me look at this real fast. Okay, you can see here that Nikola Vucevic is clearly playing a drop coverage. You could tell by his feet he's backpedaling. You would rather have Ant pull up for this three than have him go downhill. Because now with the pick and roll with Rudy Gobert, you now have the center or the rim protector out of the paint. So let's see who's protecting the rim. Kobe White's protecting the rim because Matas can't help too far off of Naz Reid and Patrick Williams can't help too far off of Mike Conley. So the only person who can really help is Kobe White if he gets downhill. Nikola Vucevic has to play drop here. That's why Ant had to make the adjustment to his pull-up three-point shooting because this is the coverage he's going to see. This and blitzes in the playoffs if they make it that far, which I think they will.
He instead stops on a dime and knocks down another. But of course, he's still just as deadly in the mid-range, here knocking down a look in isolation. But Anthony Edwards is now a true 3-level scorer, and not only that, but he's one of the best in the game. On this play, he does attack downhill, where he's just as unstoppable. Here, Minnesota throws a spanner in the works, with Anthony Edwards setting the inverted screen for Mike Conley, and the Bulls defense completely lose him, getting open for another downtown
That's beautiful.
Here, Josh Giddey knows he isn't going to be quick enough to stay with Ant, so he gives him a cushion. And of course,
and what really scares me is I think Ant would be so much better if you built the right offense around him. Like, we'll get into that another day.
Edwards is just as happy with that, knocking down an open three. His mix of great three-point shooting, mid-range mastery, and paint attacking makes him an unstoppable force when he's feeling it. Here's an example of just how unpredictable he is to guard now, as Chicago saw this play earlier, where he stopped for the pull-up three, so Williams thinks he's going to do it again, playing him much higher, only for Edwards to attack right downhill, getting to the basket for the finish. It's these off-ball situations that makes him really difficult to guard, here getting free off the Rudy Gobert screen. Here's the same off-ball action we saw earlier, and instead of pulling the three, he goes right downhill for a
Now, one thing I do want to say, I wish in 2K we could be a little bit more creative with the plays. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the game, but I wish I could get a little bit more creative with the playbook because when I do my team building on 2K, it doesn't always end up like this.
finish off the glass. And if you've got a bad defender or you're a bad defensive team, he's going to absolutely cook you just like this. However, what happens when he goes against a good defense? Well, at the moment, he only puts up 41 instead of 49, as even the 4th best defense in the NBA was unable to slow him down.
He was frying Dillon Brooks shit. He was frying Dillon Brooks shit. Bro, Dillon Brooks be talking shit, bro. He be talking shit. Dillon Brooks be talking mad shit too. It's funny as hell. It's funny as hell, bro. Dillon Brooks is funny as hell. Like, hold on, chat. Hold on. Look at this.
Dillon
Look at
Brooks
this.
is still playing games after
like,
Canada's
who
exhibition
thinks
loss
of shit
versus
like
USA
this?
last night.
Who thinks of shit like this,
LeBron
bro?
In the game.
Who thinks of shit like this? Who thinks of shit like this? Like, this is watch. Like, come on, bro. like, bro, you thought about that. You thought about that. That's fun. Copyright content. All right, back to the video. Oh my God, it's on mute. It's on mute. Elmi. We just sat in silence for like 40 seconds. And it wasn't awkward for me because I can hear the video. And y'all can't though. So I just sat in silence.
I really like when Ant is able to come off of screens, here completely blowing by Şengün for 2 more. With Randall and DiVincenzo both out, Minnesota had to lean on more young guys, and Anthony Edwards wasn't afraid to find them, here drawing a crowd to kick it out to Clark for an open look. Off this screen, Houston blitz Ant again, but the same thing happens, as he's just too quick to be blitzed, getting right to the basket for 2. Minnesota did a really good job of hunting Şengün, as here it gives Anthony Edwards enough space to knock it down in a big moment. Now with the Wolves up 1, Houston send the blitz again, but this time they do have backside help. But at this point, it didn't matter, as he barrels right through the chest of Dillon Brooks, finishing on the foul.
Come on, man.
To have the strength and body control to make a shot like this is something we truly don't appreciate enough, because that is not an easy finish. Then moments later, they hunt Şengün again, allowing Edwards to pull up on the deep 3, knocking it down. Down the stretch of this game, Anthony Edwards went into basketball brilliance mode, turning a close battle into a blowout win, as Houston had absolutely no answers trying to slow him down.
Oh my
no
God.
Tried,
oh my God.
Wasn't working. He was stepping back from 30 plus feet, splitting double teams, drawing contact and finishing plays, as there was virtually nothing the Rockets could do, and you know that the
and it's
whole
like,
time...
This is why I don't trust Houston in a playoff series. Not because their defense isn't great, not because they suck, not because they don't have good young talent. It's because they don't have somebody to consistently match what Anthony Edwards can give you on a night-to-night basis. Whether it's Anthony Edwards, Luka Doncic, LeBron James, Nikola Jokic, fucking Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, whoever. They don't, Kawhi Leonard fully healthy. They don't have someone that can match it consistently on a night-to-night basis in a playoff setting. They don't have it. They don't have it. So that's one of the reasons I don't trust Houston in a playoff series. But it is what it is. We're not going to. Once again, that's another take for another day. Another take for another day. I mean, I've said this multiple times, so it's not a take for another day. It's a take that already happened.
The Minnesota Timberwolves all of a sudden find themselves as the 6th seed in the Western Conference.
Chad, is it really a world where the Lakers finish as a top 4 seed in the Western Conference? Let me know in the comment section.
And they could easily be much higher. There's only 4 games separating the Wolves from the 3rd-seeded Denver Nuggets, but their struggles in the clutch have held them back. With a 14-18 record in clutch games this season, they could easily be much higher in the standings if they were to just execute better down the stretch.
So 14-18. Imagine if they was 20-12. Imagine if they was 20-12 in clutch games.
A big part of the issue, well, it's their offense. The floor isn't as well spaced as it was last year with Randall instead of Karl Anthony Towns, and Anthony Edwards' decision-making in clutch moments has been questioned.
You know what's crazy?
His competitive fire is
you know what's crazy? Now that the Luka trade happened, nobody's going to talk about Cat being traded from the Timberwolves. Nobody's going to talk about it. Nobody's going to talk about it. And how it's possibly going to set their franchise back a few years. Because they were right there. They were right there. They were right there.
It does work against the team. He wants to be the guy to take the final shot no matter what, even when he's double teamed with a teammate wide open. If Ant can improve as a playmaker in these moments, trusting his teammates to make shots as well, the Wolves could easily be winning a lot more of these tight games and might already be back to the top of the Western Conference. Ant's decision making hasn't been the only reason the Wolves have struggled in the clutch though. Early on, continuity and chemistry were real issues for this team, as the offense at times looked completely disjointed, almost like a G League team trying to figure things out on the fly. A big reason for that, well, the front court pairing of Rudy Gobert and Julius Randle
I hope this
hasn't
video doesn't
provided
get
the same
copyright. Oh wait, no, it
spacing
might
that
not
it
get
did in years
copyright.
past with Karl
It might not
Anthony
get
Towns.
copyright. His
Rudy
video ain't
Gobert
copyright.
is an
You
elite
better not
rim
copyright
protector
mine.
and rebounder, but offensively, he operates almost exclusively in the painted area. Pairing him with Randle, who thrives in isolation and mid-post situations, but isn't a high-volume three-point shooter, it's made it much tougher for Minnesota to create space. Without enough three-point shooting threats stretching the floor, opposing defenses can collapse inside, making it nearly impossible for Ant to get clean looks at the rim, especially in clutch situations when the defense tightens up even more. But recently, with Julius Randle missing time, the Wolves have turned to Naz Reid in the starting lineup, and in stretches, this team's looked really promising. Reid is a much better three-point shooter than Randle, and with him spacing the floor, Minnesota's offense flows more smoothly. Ant has more driving lanes, which not only allows him to get to the rim more easily, but it also allows Ant to leverage that driving ability to get better looks from deep. And on top of that, with Randle out of the lineup, Edwards is simply getting more shots overall. He's able to attack defenses before they're fully set up, taking advantage of mismatches, and finding a better rhythm throughout the game. The better floor spacing is the main reason why we've seen him put up these monstrous performances lately. As when the floor
Because Julius
spaced,
Randle's not in the
he is
lineup.
nearly
That's
unstoppable.
what it is.
It's
Like, that's
obviously
literally
not
what it
realistic
is.
for
It's
Ant
because
to be
Julius
dropping
Randle is not in
40+
the
points
lineup.
every night though, but performances like these do highlight just how dominant he can be.
Hey, and Julius Randle, man, if we ever just become friends one day, forget I said this, bro. Forget I said this. Forget I said it.
That's why the idea of bringing Julius Randle off the bench is so intriguing to me. Right now, Randle's skills
Julius Randle won't be a Timberwolf next year, though. Like,
doesn't complement
I think
Edwards
with this
as well as
stretch
it
that
needs
they're
to.
probably
And in the
going
back
to
of my
secure
mind,
Julius
I was
Randle. Just
hoping
going to go
Minnesota were going to move
test his
on from
value in
Randle
free agency.
experiment at the
And
trade deadline,
it's going to be
but
really
that
interesting
never
to see
happened.
what
The
team is
Wolves
willing to give him the
desperately
money,
need a
because
better
it's not.
three-point
I think the
shooter in
only
that
desperate
starting
team got their
five
guy.
to open up these
The Warriors
driving
are the
lanes for
only
Anthony
desperate team right
Edwards.
now.
That's why it
in
was
my
such
opinion.
a brutal blow when
And I know the
Dante
Lakers better not get him.
DiVincenzo got hurt. After Minnesota permanently inserted him into the
Ooh,
starting
I'ma be
lineup in
pissed,
place of
bro.
Mike
I'ma
Conley,
be
the
pissed.
team immediately started
I'm
to
gonna be
turn things
pissed,
around.
bro.
They had
If
been
Julius
struggling
Randle is
before the
wearing a
switch,
Laker
but once they made
uniform,
the
I'm going
move,
to
they
be
won 4
pissed.
of their next
I'm going
6
to be
games.
pissed, bro. I don't
DiVincenzo
want to hear
gave
that
them
shit.
14 points a night on good shooting, as he gave a much-needed ability to shoot and move without the ball, giving the offense a much-needed boost, while also stretching the floor and making it much harder for defenses to load up on Anthony Edwards. But without that floor spacing, Minnesota's offense is more predictable, and the limitations of their
He
current
dunked the shit out of
personnel is
Anthony
becoming
Black, too,
more
and I
apparent.
like Anthony
and
Black.
unfortunately, they're going to have to ride with this for the rest of the
That nigga
season
tried to
after
dunk.
not making a move at the deadline. Mike Conley, for example, played a huge role
Hey,
last
he's funny as
season
shit.
as a steady veteran presence,
Start big
but
game
this
Rob,
season,
boy.
he's been
Start
unable
big
to
game
have
Rob.
the
Misses
same
this shit
impact.
easy.
While he's looked a bit better recently, he's clearly not the
Start
same
big game
guy
Rob, though,
who
for
helped
real.
stabilize the Wolves' offense last season. A big part
I
of
fuck
that
with
is
Conley,
his diminished
but
burst.
it's time to start
Last year,
Rob,
whenever
man.
the Wolves
They
needed
give
a
Terrence
bucket
Shannon more
crunch,
minutes,
they
man.
would often rely on the Conley Gobert
And Josh
pick and roll,
Minot.
as it was a staple to
I hope
their
I'm saying his
offense.
name right.
Conley's
Josh
ability
Minot
to
or
make
Josh
quick
Minot?
reads, navigate
I don't know.
screens, and either hit
That
Gobert
rhyme.
on the roll or create his own shot made that action incredibly effective. But this season, he's clearly lost a step, and it's made that play far less dangerous, to the point where the Wolves aren't really going to it at all. Defenses
Look
aren't
at
respecting
Bismack.
his scoring threat as
Bismack,
much,
my
which
boy.
allows them to stay home
You was
with
a legend in
shooters
one of
and
them
clog
2Ks.
paint. That's
I
why
forgot.
Minnesota's struggles in the clutch isn't just about Anthony Edwards' decision making, as it's also about the team's overall spacing and lack of reliable secondary play.
Hey,
Without an
before we
extra
get out of
shooter
here,
to keep the defense honest,
what is
or
that one team? Because now that I'm thinking about it, what was that one player that was a role player, like a real role player? And the guy I'm about to mention wasn't even a role player for real. Like, he's borderline out the league. But who was that one guy you used to use in 2K who used to work perfectly for what you used to do? Me, in like 2K12 or 2K13, I used to always get the Thunder, sub out Serge Ibaka, and put in Hasheem Thabeet. Yes, 66 overall, Hasheem Thabeet, who was 7'2". I used to do Russ, Harden, Thabo Sefolosha, KD, and Hasheem Thabeet. That was it. I forget what 2K it was, but it was one of them. I promise you.
Consistent secondary scoring option.
I swear to God, we used to put up buckets too. We used to put up buckets too. I'm telling you, because my little brother, every time I used to go against him, he used to use the Heat, and I'm like, all right, I want LeBron and Wade to come to the paint. Hasheem Thabeet blocking that shit, boy. I swear to God.
While he's done an incredibly good job at carrying the team's offense, it's simply not sustainable in the long run, especially as this team looks to make a deep playoff push.
My mouth dry as
Improving
shit.
three-point shooting in the starting five had to be a top priority for Minnesota, and recently they were forced into doing just that with the Randall injury. Since then, their offense has looked so much better, and it's no coincidence that Anthony Edwards is back to being his most dominant self. With better spacing, he's getting cleaner looks, more driving lanes, and an overall rhythm that makes him nearly impossible to stop. This adjustment could be the key to a much deeper playoff run. Even though the Wolves did not make a move at this trade deadline to bring in more shooting, other teams certainly did. So watch this video next to see the 6 things that were made incredibly clear.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to Basketball Reach. If you guys like that type of content, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.